Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Blagaga and today we're going to talk about the ban list of Yu-Gi-Oh! More in specific, Monarchs. Monarchs have been one of the strongest decks in the current format. Which cards do you guys think are going to be semi-limited, limited, and maybe even banned? So here are my thoughts on the topic. First of all, let's talk about the trap cards, because they only have 4 traps. And I think of all the trap cards, we only have to talk about one. The Prime Monarch. The Prime Monarch is basically the best trap card that the Monarchs have, and it's also the best defensive card that they have next to the main of the Monarchs, because they always have this 2400 defense monster in the graveyard that they can special summon easily, and also it's good for tribute summoning, which is of course the main thing of the archetype. Also, it pairs pretty good with one of the strongest cards in the whole archetype, which is Pantheism of the Monarchs, which we're gonna talk about later. And it's definitely a strong card. But here's the thing, that I personally think this card is not going to get hit. And the simple reason is because alone this card is not good. Also, if Pantheism of the Monarchs wouldn't exist, it would be pretty hard to get this card into the graveyard. And because of that, it wouldn't be as strong as it currently is. But let's move on to the spell cards. Of course, we have here one spell card that nobody uses, which is Strike of the Monarchs. Some people don't even play this card. I mean, Strike of the Monarchs, just get out of here. Let's go on to the ones that we actually have to talk about, which are Frostblast of the Monarchs, then we have Mark of the Monarchs, and also Return of the Monarchs. Those are normally one-offs, so limiting those cards wouldn't actually hurt the deck at all. The main cards that we have to talk about are Pantheism, Domain of the Monarchs, also Tenacity of the Monarchs, and the Monarch Stormfort. The Monarch Stormfort is basically an out to everything, it doesn't target, and it's a pretty devastating card to use your opponent's monster to tribute summon one of your monsters. On top of that, this card allows you in your opponent's turn, together with Escalation of the Monarchs, for some really nasty plays. Also together with the Heavenly Monarch that we also going to talk about later. But let's start with Pantheism of the Monarchs. This is probably the best card in the deck, and a lot of people want this card to get limited, and I can just say one thing to this. I agree. The main reason is because this card lets you draw cards and search cards at the same time, which is really powerful. Also, on top of this, it gives your opponent the illusion of a choice, but they actually don't have a choice. You just put 3 copies, show them 3 copies of your card, and they have to decide which one, of course. But even if you're semi-limited, and this is a really important point of this video, like say Stormfort or Tenacity of the Monarchs, it wouldn't matter, because at that point you just put 2 copies of one card and 1 Tenacity, and your opponent still has the illusion of a choice, because as long as you have a Monarch in your hand, which you should normally have, because otherwise you probably not are able to unfold the true power of the stack, you can just search the last card anyway. So basically you have to limit Tenacity too, because Tenacity can search Pantheism and Pantheism can search Tenacity. And on top of that, you have to limit the spell cards that are not used more than once, which is Domain of the Monarchs and Stormfort. But at that point, I think this would be really too hard to limit 4 cards only against one archetype. I think that the best thing would probably be to leave Domain how it is, because you can search it out with terraforming anyway, so that wouldn't make a big difference. But what about the monsters? I think we don't have to talk about the normal Monarchs. We also don't have to talk about the big Mega Monarchs that have 2800 attack and 1000 defense. I think they're completely fine. Now the new Mega Monarchs, which are Erebus and, I hope I pronounced this right, Aether, are different, because they give you resources by drop cards into the graveyard that you can activate. That makes them much stronger. But limiting Erebus wouldn't make a difference, because you can recover him with his own effect from the graveyard. So limiting him wouldn't make sense. Aether would probably be better, because this card also gives you a huge damage output and makes some really cheesy plays possible during your opponent's turn. So that limiting Aether would probably also be a decent choice for a Banlist hit. Now, the small vessels are okay, but the main ones are of course the ones that are included in the structure deck and are new, which are of course Edea and Eidos. I don't think that both of them should get hit. Potentially you could argue that Edea would probably be able to recycle your limited spells and add them back to your hand, but on the other hand, if those cards aren't even in your graveyard and you can't even banish them because you don't draw them at all, that's basically the same thing. So you already reduce the consistency of the deck and the potential what the deck can do in the first or second turn of the game, and that's already a big deal in my opinion. So my conclusion is you should probably limit Stormforth, Tenaciously, and Pantheism at once. Maybe Aether, but yeah, just maybe. Let me know what you think about this. If you like this kind of videos or Yu-Gi-Oh! In general, feel free to subscribe to my channel, because it gives me huge motivation to make additional videos. Thank you for watching and goodbye.